Hello Aquarius and welcome to El Hermano. We're so happy that you could join us for the June reading.
Yes, Aquarius, you're at Virtual Tarot. I'm Ava.
And I am Trudy. And we are wearing shades. Why, you might ask? Because
we are under the rays of the god Aten behind us. And this is a god that was worshipped in 1350 BC in Egypt by Akhenaten and Nefertiti.
they were the inventors of the Son of God, S-U-N.
Yes.
S-U-N, not S-O-N. This was the first time in the history of mankind
Yes.
where we can actually point to a ruler who threw out all the other gods and then instated one god only.
Right. And so, actually, he not only believed in a single God, but he also believed in the brotherhood of man. He did not believe in killing, which is probably why the entire state fell apart, because he had enemies all around him. But he was more interested in art, in music, in poetry, because he was a philosopher king.
And he also, a lot of people or scientists or archaeologists believe or have believed that he was deformed, but they are beginning to believe that he actually he developed a new art form that celebrated the masculine and feminine attributes and in a combined sort of way.
Yeah, but he also distorted the body.
Yeah.
And artistically, very much the way that Picasso did, in the sense of trying to...
Elongated.
Yeah, they elongated because... The digits. In a sense that the material world was reflective of the spiritual world, which was not set in any rigid form. And so this is what was so iconoclastic about him. He introduced new art forms, new ways of thinking about who we are and what we are. And it was exemplified in Aten, the single god.
Also the art of the day.
Yes,
it was exemplified in the art of the day, because I was telling you, remember before about the video that I saw of Akhenaten? It's sort of like a hip-hop video, and they say, Pharaoh's got back, Pharaoh's got back, because he actually, a lot of his statues, he would, you know, he's presented as someone who's got a really big butt.
Oh, yes, he is, yes.
But I don't think he really had a big butt.
No,
that was like partially like the feminine goddess, the guy.
Right.
Yeah,
he wasn't afraid of showing himself as a female.
Right.
And
not to mention he had a really hot wife, so I can't imagine that
hot.
he wasn't hot too.
Oh, she was absolutely that beautiful neck of hers.
Nefertiti.
There's no one who had her beauty.
Right.
Maybe Cleopatra later, although there's argument.
No, Cleopatra was not an attractive woman at all. She was Greek.
Yeah.
And she was probably very plain, but she was very well educated and charming.
Yes.
That is how she got with
I understand.
Julius Caesar and Mark Antony.
We should do a little piece on her too. She's a very interesting woman as well.
She was the very last pharaoh of Egypt.
That's true.
The last pharaoh.
And Nefertiti, they conjecture that she ruled after the demise of her pharaoh husband, and she ruled in the guise of a male.
Yes.
Because of course still women were not yet permitted to become pharaohs.
Right.
But she had again the chutzpah.
Right.
To do that.
She did have the chutzpah. Love that word, chutzpah. H-U-T-Z-P-A-H. It's word of the day.
Spelling bee champion.
Right on. Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's take a look at you. Oh, there you are. Okay.
There you are.
All right, Aquarius, let's talk about last month, because last month we had the 8 of Swords, which is the Stockholm Syndrome card. Basically, you are sort of not able to move, and also identifying with your captors and not those who would like to free you.
Well, that's true. That's
true.
So it was this power struggle card.
Could be a metaphor for something going on with you.
Somehow you felt powerless in a certain situation that you'd gotten yourself into.
Right.
And
and then we also had the Empress.
The Empress in the challenge position, right?
Which we said she was in the upright, which is good because if you're trying to get pregnant, there may be a bit of a delay, but it was a promising card.
Right. So there's certain issues around pregnancy, or if you're gestating an idea.
Right.
There was a difficulty in bringing it out into the material world because the Empress has to do with the manifestation of your ideas in the material world.
Or if you're gardening.
Or if you're gardening.
Maybe your flowers aren't blooming quite as quickly as you'd like to see them bloom.
Yes. Try organic.
And we said get out in nature because nature is very healing.
Right.
And you are a sword queen.
Right.
So we know Aquarians love to garden.
Yes, they do.
And they love to create a beautiful home environment.
And they do. Their home is their castle.
So, I wonder.
Let us see.
4-card spread.
Classic 4-card spread. First card has to do with the overall environment of the month, and the second is your challenge.
Third, forewarned is forearmed because it is the unexpected, something that you must know.
Right.
Third is the outcome of the month and sort of a wrap up. It'll help us sort of put the other cards into perspective at the same time. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Here we go.
Can I put my shades on first?
Oh, I'll do it too.
Okay.
All right.
It's pretty bright back here. And I think your future...
Autumn is really powerful today.
Your future's bright too, because here we have it.
All right.
Marriage card! It's the Hierophant. June is a great month to get married.
That's true.
If you're engaged.
See that.
It could also mean that you're going to a lot of weddings, because June is also a time for weddings. But this is a card of tradition.
Right.
And ceremony.
Ceremony.
And blessing.
And being conservative.
Also the church.
The church, or any group that has their own traditional values. And so having to adapt to those is the
well, sorry. Don't hold hands. It just colors the entire month.
It just does.
Yes.
It's not a challenge. It's simply what is.
Yeah, the tradition of marriage. So it could basically mean this month is about your marriage.
It could very well be about your marriage and the traditional values of a marriage.
And if you're not married, it can mean that this is a month just for more traditional things.
Yes.
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 To take on a more traditional role, or to see tradition in a different light, perhaps, but it is about tradition. I do believe Aquarians are about the most untraditional sign.
That's true.
Extremely independent.
Yes, so it's interesting that that's what you have to kind of adapt to, fit in. You have to fit in somehow. And also, the card is also a spiritual card, seeking spiritual counsel, because the card is a pope. And you're looking up, people are looking up. Either you give counsel to other people who are in emotional need, or because you're in emotional need, you seek out more traditional counsel. And that could be a psychiatrist, a sociologist, or it could be just someone in the church itself that
who is seen as acceptable.
Right.
By others.
Yes.
By your community at large. It's all about what's acceptable.
Right. And it could very well just be joining into more traditional family traditions.
Yeah.
You know, it could simply be that.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's see what your challenge is. How? Look at that. How is...
We have the Fool.
What a conundrum.
Is your challenge. And it's actually this card of Sagittarius.
Right.
Because every sign has a major arcana card that coincides with that sign. And this is the Sagittarius card, the card of the risk taker, the philosopher, the guy hitchhiking on the side of the road. That's your challenge.
Put yourself in an environment that is much more conventional, and you as an Aquarian are immediately opposed
right.
to that. And so your challenge is to be yourself, that is, express the spontaneity, the risk, the gambler within yourself in this restricted environment. So it's like,
that's funny.
We were mentioning it was like
that's good though.
Nude sunbathing.
Yeah, it is like nude sunbathing.
So you sneak away from the family and you go to nude sunbathing.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe your challenge is to just get away from it.
Yeah,
take a trip. You know, like a trip by yourself. It's kind of like running away from home.
Yes, it's like running away from home. You run away from it. Your challenge is to find a place within this construct, this traditional construct
of your life,
where you can be yourself, where you can express that part of you that is much more daring. Those
hippie values.
Yes, those wonderful hippie values that are at your core.
Yeah, so take a trip and be a hippie. That's what it looks like. It's almost like hitchhiking.
It's almost, well, of course, no one can hitchhike anymore.
It's like the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, beautiful.
That'd be a good book for them to read.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Good summer reading for you.
Right, because if you can't literally get away, then maybe you can get away through your mind.
Yeah.
And do some exploring. And it could very, you know, they're very philosophical, so it might be exploring different ideas, the less orthodox ideas, and taking a risk with yourself.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, instead of sticking your middle finger out at convention, stick your thumb out. Right. And take a trip.
Right.
Even if it's just a head trip.
Even if it's a head trip. So find some way to escape all this, you know,
boring stuff.
Yes.
This is such an Aquarius reading, isn't it? Holy smokes. Okay. And there we have it. Okay. So we have the Three of Wands. Yeah. We have the Three of Wands. You take a trip. Which is good. Okay.
Right.
And you've already planned it, so.
Yeah. Secretly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've secretly planned it.
Or maybe it's unexpected for those around you.
All right. So if I were to understand this, so you find perhaps that you're in an environment that has rules and regulations. Your challenge is to perhaps introduce something a little bit unorthodox into these rules and regulations, to sort of expand it out, to make it vibrate with a new concept, let's just say. And then unexpectedly, you launch it. Mm-hmm. You actually put it out there. Mm-hmm. And you take that chance. You step outside of the box and you put it into reality. You take your idea and you actually make it real, and you take various steps to manifest.
Right. Well, you put some action behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is about waiting in some ways, because once you do that, then you have to wait for the results. So if it were about, let's just say, your business, well, something about this, about your business, it finds itself in rather regulatory, governmental, institutional bounds, binding you in.
Right, yeah.
And your challenge is to get out of that and to take it somewhere else.
Right.
To move outside of the bounds of convention.
Yeah, it's kind of like if the man is getting you down, let's stick out your thumb and take a trip.
Take a trip.
Take a trip, man.
Right. If it's just on a personal level.
Yeah.
It could very well be just maybe even taking an individual trip by yourself.
Right. Or if it's about business, as you said, it could be very much about within an organization, taking an entrepreneurial point of view, taking on the purvey of an entrepreneur within an organization, and you know,
challenging them.
Yes, and putting some true effort, research behind it. Giving it some, giving it legs.
Giving it legs.
Give it legs, and then
unexpectedly you take
it
a
actually
chance.
works.
It actually works.
Right, it actually works. So that's kind of cool. Let's see what the last card is. Oh boy. So it works so well. That those around you are so excited. They're actually offering you sustenance.
Right.
Emotional, like acclaim, or you know, at a girl, or that kind of thing. If this is about work and you're kind of like, oh, whatever, I already did this. This is the Four of Cups. I already did this on my own. I don't really need you to tell me I did the right thing. And that to me would be, if we're talking about someone within an organization. Different though if we're talking about life.
Right. Life itself, just fundamentally, yes.
Yes.
Well, you're going to be offered something at the end of the month that will stir the cockles of your heart, no doubt.
The cockles.
The cockles. The cockles of your heart. I love cockles. There's another one. But you're not sure you want it. Something will be offered you, but you're going to take a moment and meditate on it, and you're going to wonder whether this really is something that you can bring in within within your life experience, whether you want this in your life experience or not. But if it were strictly about work, then you're rewarded. You're rewarded for your effort, for your ability to go outside of the accepted values of that organization. So because you took a risk and you're offered something, but maybe a raise, or maybe, which you take obviously, but maybe a position, a different kind of position within the organization, but maybe you don't want it.
Right, right.
Maybe that isn't what you want.
Right.
Maybe you wanted some other position, but you're thinking about it. So this comes at the end of the month.
Well, the challenge is to get rid of your overhead, okay? Because that's what the Fool is about. This guy is unencumbered.
He's unencumbered.
So if you can take on that sort of persona and become the person who you were when you began this journey, whatever the journey is, then you will be quite successful in meeting your goal, which is this sort of heavy-duty individuality, I feel like.
So pared down individuality is what it is.
You're going to actually see a return on...
You need to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it won't come immediately, but yes, it will be a reward. And you'll be offered something because of it all.
Yeah, so it's a new direction, basically.
Right.
So taking this new direction, which is a complete leap of faith.
Yeah, a complete leap of faith.
Yes, and taking that forward, giving it legs, putting some real effort behind it.
Right.
In the end, you've actually got 3 cups here.
Yeah.
So you've got complete sustenance. You've got what you need.
Yeah.
You don't really need anyone else to say good job or even I love you.
Yeah.
You don't really need that because you already feel.
Praise. Yeah. You don't need the praise.
Yeah, you already feel pretty content, and you're kind of like in a great. I love this card because you're in the power position.
You don't make the decision right away.
Right.
You just at the end of the month you're considering it.
Right. Right. Outside of this.
Outside
of the organization.
Outside of the organization. So maybe even. Yes, maybe you get a job offer outside of the organization.
Right.
Somebody recognizes your talent and offers you something outside of this organization.
Yeah.
So that would be very, very good.
Yeah.
And, or if it were personal, it could be a love offer.
Yeah, it could be very much, or it could just be somebody who you're, in relationship with, saying, Wowee.
Yeah. Yahoo!
You're a
great
groovy girl.
Yes.
And I want to give you an extra diamond ring because you're so groovy. And you're like, yeah, I got diamond rings.
I've got so many.
So, do check out our page, Virtual Tarot.
At WordPress.com. No, .wordpress.com.
Yes, and peruse the readings, choose one, make your PayPal donation, and then send the question to avatrudy@yahoo.com. We get it on our trusty little phones. We will answer you right away, and what you get in return is an audio reading, which you can listen to again, again, and again.
And that's our art to you.
Yes.
So we treat it as art. We have great reverence for every single reading.
Yes. So thank you so much. Please stay tuned for the reading,
yes.
or not the reading. Well, it is a reading. Ava's narrating the mini documentary about Akhenaten and Nefertiti. We're really excited about that.
Yeah.
And stay tuned because next month we're going to be coming at you from someplace else in the month of July, and it's going to be a big, big reading for tarot fans. So,
yes. Yeah.
that said,
Pinterest.
Check out our Pinterest page. I'll put the link below. We're going to say goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
We're going to see Akhi and Nephi.
Yes.
See you later.
This month we explore the extraordinary story of the reign of the pharaoh Akhenaten and Nefertiti, who ruled Egypt for about 17 years between roughly 1353 BC and 1335 BC. Akhenaten was known as an iconoclastic genius, a poet, and a philosopher. While even just a boy, he fought against the selfish and the strong, whom he identified particularly with the priests of one of their pantheon of gods named Ammon. This was a polytheistic society in ancient Egypt, and the priests of Ammon were prone to tyranny, and so Akhenaten resolved to destroy the priests and their gods, and to supplant them with his god, with a single god named Aten, the sun god. The high priest had been accustomed to occupying high and influential positions at the court of Akhenaten's father, Amenhotep III. One of the priests had been a chief treasurer, another a grand vizier. But the single-minded and rebellious Akhenaten, when he ascended to the throne, began to embrace and develop the theological beliefs of the obscure Aten solar cult. And he set forth to convince an unheeding world of Aten's sovereignty over all of creation, thus making Akhenaten the first monotheistic ruler of the ancient world. Akhenaten had the noble desire to make all men wise, just, free, and mild. But Akhenaten was also a feminist, believing in the equality of women, as was proved when he married his wife, Nefertiti. She was a queen consort and became co-regent and equal to the pharaoh. She was committed to Akhenaten's vision and is often portrayed worshiping beside him. The royal couple delighted to appear among the people, accompanied by their children. Nefertiti, in some works of art,
is shown standing equal next to her husband, symbolically showing that she was equal to her husband. As time went on, treason was attempted by the priestly party, which roused the ire of the strong-minded young king, for he suddenly began a war of bitter persecution against the god Ammon. Everywhere the god's name was chipped from the monuments, the tombs were entered, and the young pharaoh did not spare even the name of his father. It was at this time that he became officially known as Akhenaten, the spirit of Aten. Akhenaten decided to leave Thebes then, and at El Amarna, about 250 miles north, he caused to be laid out a garden city in which were built a gorgeous palace which surpassed that of his father, and a great temple dedicated to the one and only god Aten. Akhenaten was a proud and profoundly serious man with a great mission, a high-souled prophet. Akhenaten believed it sinful to take away the life which Aten gave. No sacrifices were offered up at his temple. The fruits of the earth were laid on the altars instead. Aten was revealed in beauty, and his worshippers were required to live beautiful lives, believing that the cultured mind abhorred all evil and sought after only that which was most excellent. Akhenaten promoted the idea of the universal brotherhood of man and conceived that the world was beautiful and was pervaded by universal peace. And though Aten, the god, was a sun god, he was not actually the material sun. He was the first cause manifested by the sun, from which all things came, and from which ever issued forth the life-giving and life-sustaining influence, symbolized by rays ending in hands that support and nourish human beings. No grand theology has ever appeared in the world before such as this. It is the forerunner of the later monotheistic religions, while it is even more abstract and impersonal, and may well mark as scientific theism, which in our modern world would be equivalent to the ideas of the 20th century mystic Rudolf Steiner. Akhenaten died while still a young man, and the causes of his death are unknown. But there is speculation that the new pharaoh was in fact Queen Nefertiti, who ruled as a man and attempted to hold together the collapsing dreams of her husband. Though not many women have acted as rulers in ancient Egyptian society, they have been considered to be equal among men in status as well as legal opportunities. Women were shown to be allowed the opportunity to take part in the economy, such as their role as merchants. Women took part also in religious activities. They were allowed to become priestesses. It has now taken women 3,000 years to reclaim their equal social rights. And only now is the world reawakening, heralding a return to higher frequencies of love, compassion, and kindness, and to the eternal feminine divine.